The Kerana Light Rail Transit LRT line will resume full operations at 6 a.m. tomorrow, 2 days earlier than expected. Transport Minister Datuk Seri Dr. W. Kasih today said tests conducted on the effectiveness of systems and operational safety yesterday showed that they were stable.
Kementerian Pengangkutan Malaysia dengan sukacitanya ingin memaklumkan bahawa perkhidmatan LRT laluan Kerana Jaya akan kembali dibuka sepenuhnya kepada pengguna mulai esok Isnin 14 November 2022 jam 6 pagi. Pengoperasian semula ini juga adalah 2 hari lebih awal daripada yang dijangkakan.
In a video uploaded on his Facebook page today, Datuk Seri Dr. Wee said the test sessions, which also involved the participation of the Rail Enforcement and Planning Divisions and Public Land Transport Agency, APAT, showed that the critical safety system was stable and free from disruption. He said APAT had also confirmed the stability of the Automated Train Control ATC system and declared the Kerana Jaya LRT line safe to resume full operations. He said for affected users, ticket compensation for 7 days will be provided even though the service suspension is for 5 days. Prasarana Malaysia Berhad Prasarana had earlier announced the suspension of service between Kerana Jaya and Ampang Park covering 16 stations for 1 week from the 9th of November after the train signalling system was found to be unstable. In a related development, Prime Minister Dr. Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob has instructed the Ministry of Transport to conduct a comprehensive investigation to identify the cause of the incident through the establishment of a special committee. He said it was the second time such an incident had occurred while he was the Prime Minister, and he did not want the same thing to recur because it inconvenienced public transport users.
InsyaAllah saya dah beri arahan kepada Menteri Pengangkutan bahawa perkara yang sama tidak boleh berlaku di masa-masa akan datang. Yang kita akan siasat bukan saja dari segi siasat dari segi punca kerosakan, tapi kita akan siasat secara menyeluruh lah. Kenapa perkara ini berlaku sewaktu kempen sedang berjalan.
The government continues to focus on the entrepreneurial sector, which is one of the important elements to drive economic development, including among the rural population. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said although the country has achieved success in terms of infrastructure development in rural areas, the economic field of rural communities needs to be strengthened.
Tidak dapat dinafikan, kita telah mencapai kejayaan dalam konteks pembangunan infrastruktur luar bandar yang kini mempunyai bekalan elektrik dan air serta mempunyai rangkaian jalan raya yang sempurna. Kita juga telah melahirkan anak-anak luar bandar yang berjaya dalam pelbagai bidang dengan membelanjakan berbilion ringgit saban tahun bagi memastikan kawasan dan masyarakat luar bandar dimajukan di seluruh negara.
While officiating the Rural Entrepreneurs Mini Carnival at Dataran Kerayong Borough today, the Prime Minister also said the effort to empower the rural community is in line with the aspirational goal of the Rural Development Policy with 3 main principles of sustainable, inclusive and holistic towards the vision of prosperous rural areas by 2030. In addition, he said rural entrepreneurs also have the potential to grow through the use of technology which allows them to market product sales online to the international market. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri also wants to raise the standard of livelihoods and living conditions to the people in Borough. To achieve the desired goal, he said, the support of the people in Borough for him is crucial. The Prime Minister also said that traditional villages are among the locations to be given focus in his agenda of developing rural areas.
Bagi saya peluang 5 tahun pasti lebih banyak pembangunan yang akan dibawa ke kualiti yang pentingnya parti yang kita pilih itu mesti parti yang boleh membuat jasa kepada kita.
To date, a total of 400,000 ringgit has been allocated for each traditional village in Borough. At a separate event, Dr. Sri Semasa advised UMNO and Barisan Nasional candidates in the 15th general election to always display a spirit of solidarity and to preserve the good name of the party. Dr. Sri Semasa, who is also an UMNO vice president, said the people would be watching them throughout the campaign period, and any bickering among leaders could give rise to speculation on candidates and the party. When met after attending a program with the people in Kampung Batu Papan, Borough, he said, the main focus of the party and its leaders now should be to work for a victory for all BN candidates so that the coalition could win enough seats to form the federal government.
Saya harap perkara lain tu kita ketepikanlah dulu. Yang pentingnya solidariti di dalam UMNO dan juga BN mesti ditonjolkan. Kerana rakyat sedang melihat dan rakyat akan membuat pelbagai spekulasi kalau kita dilihat tidak bersama-sama di dalam menghadapi pilihan raya ini. Jadi apa pun yang kita buat, yang pentingnya adalah jaga nama baik parti dan yang pentingnya tingkatkan keyakinan rakyat kepada parti kita untuk kita menang menjadi parti yang dominan selepas pilihan raya nanti. Itulah cita-cita kita dan sasaran kita.
Barisan Nasional Sungai Buloh parliamentary candidate for the 15th general election G15, Khairi Jamaluddin, said the youths would take advantage of the opportunity during G15 to determine Malaysia's future. He hoped young and new voters will come out in big numbers to vote on 19 November, being their first platform to vote since the amendment of the Federal Constitution was made to lower voting eligibility.
Alhamdulillah, saya nampak semakin ramai yang mula mengambil tahu tentang pilihan raya. Social media sangat penting untuk generasi muda. Mungkin kita tak dapat jumpa dengan semua pengundi-pengundi yang baru ni, tetapi yang penting memang di platform media sosial mereka sangat tertarik dengan kempen pilihan raya kali ini.
Sungai Buloh has a total of 150,000 registered voters, of which more than 40% were young voters. Khairi was met after playing a doubles badminton match with national singles badminton icon Datuk Lee Chong Wei in Kampung Baru, Subang today. Meanwhile, Datuk Chong Wei said he welcomes support for youth badminton regardless of politics.
I just come because YB is my sport minister, ex-sport minister, and I just come to enjoy this event for the young generation, more semangat untuk badminton sport. Yeah.
Datuk Chong Wei and Khairi played 2 games, first teaming up with event organizer Lee Tikwa and his partner, then playing on opposite sides of the court, where they paired up with 2 youth players. The shuttlers' presence drew a large crowd to the event held at Dewan Badminton Yosin, Kampung Subang. Khairi also said he hoped Datuk Chong Wei's participation in the program today would continue to inspire young people to perform in the national and international sports arena. Coming up next, students can submit appeal to local leaders for Peranti Siswa tablets. Stay with us. Students whose application for Peranti Siswa Keluarga Malaysia tablets has been rejected or not meeting the set requirements can appeal in writing or meet directly with local leaders. Communications and Multimedia Minister Tan Sri Adam Musa said 40,000 applications had been rejected out of over 470,000 applications.
Mereka boleh mendapat sokongan daripada wakil rakyat, parlimen, ADUN atau pemimpin-pemimpin tempatan yang boleh memberikan testimoni tentang latar belakang mereka. Jadi bagi yang tak berjaya jangan terlalu berduka cita. Kita belum secara muktamad menolak mereka. Ya, saya akan berikhtiar seberapa boleh pelajar yang berkeinginan yang telah membuat permohonan, asalkan tidak terlalu jauh daripada garis-garis syarat yang telah dikemukakan, kita akan beri pertimbangan, terutama yang ada sokongan daripada ataupun testimoni.
Apart from local leaders who know the applicant's family background, Tan Sri Anwar said school principals can also file the appeal as they are directly involved with the students at school. On 28 October, he said an additional 50,000 units of Peranti Siswa tablets had been ordered to enable more students to benefit from the program. And in other news, 4 family members died in a 2-vehicle collision at Simpang 3, Jalan Kolam Machap, Alor Gajah this morning. In the 7:45 a.m. incident, Ibrahim Daud, 71, died along with his wife, Latifah Dorahim, 66, daughter-in-law, Shazana Tarin, 30, and grandson, Yusuf Daniel Muhammad Izwan, 5, due to severe head injuries. Another grandson, aged 2, suffered injuries and was being treated at Malacca Hospital Red Zone. Ibrahim's son, Muhammad Izwan, 30, who was driving a Toyota Estima multi-purpose vehicle, MPV, escaped unhurt, while the driver of the other vehicle, Koh Eng Kun, 59, suffered minor injuries. Alor Gajah District Police Chief Superintendent Arshad Abu said preliminary investigations found that the 6 family members were heading for Alor Gajah from Selanda, while the other driver, who was in a Toyota Land Cruiser, was travelling to Selanda from Durian Tunggal. In a statement, he said the accident was believed to have occurred when the MPV tried to avoid the 4-wheel drive vehicle, which had pulled into its path at a junction. He said Ibrahim died at the scene, while the 3 others died while receiving treatment at Alor Gajah Hospital, adding that the remains of the 4 family members would be sent for post-mortem. Preliminary investigations found the victims were on their way to Langkawi to celebrate Ibrahim's birthday. Police arrested 4 foreigners and 59 locals for drug abuse at an entertainment centre near Johor Bahru. Johor Police Chief Dato' Kamarul Zaman Mamat said all 63 were arrested during a raid by the Narcotics Criminal Investigation Department (NCID) to the premises at 2 a.m. on Saturday. Initial investigations revealed that the premises had operated beyond the allowed operating hours of 12 a.m. In a statement today, he said to attract more customers, the premise owners have also organised a lucky draw where the ticket is sold for 60 ringgit each through its social media page. Police then inspected 567 individuals who were partying at the premises and found 62 people who tested positive for drugs. They were made up of 43 men and 19 women, ranging in ages from 16 to 58. Also arrested was a woman, aged 32, who claimed to be the premise manager, he said, adding that all of the suspects are currently under remand to help with investigations. The case is being investigated under Section 15, Subsection 1, Subsection A of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952 for consuming drugs, which carries up to 2 years in jail or a fine of not more than 5,000 ringgit. It is also being investigated under Section 11, Subsection 2 of the Johor Places of Entertainment Enactment for operating an entertainment centre beyond the allowed time, which carries a fine of not more than 50,000 ringgit, imprisonment of not more than 5 years, or both. And in our foreign segment, G20 ministers launch $1 billion pandemic fund. But first, the 40th and 41st ASEAN summits and related summits in Cambodia concluded today, achieving fruitful results for greater regional cooperation towards post-COVID-19 pandemic socio-economic recovery. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen said a comprehensive and productive discussion had been made on the way forward to strengthen ASEAN's centrality and the value in relation with its external partners, particularly at a time when the world is facing the fast-evolving complex regional and international issue. A total of 70 outcome documents and declarations covering the 3 pillars of ASEAN communities were adopted and noted at the summits, with various cooperation frameworks with dialogue partners endorsed. For the ASEAN community building, the summits adopted the ASEAN Leaders' Statement on the 55th anniversary of ASEAN. The ASEAN Leaders' Vision Statement on ASEAN ACT, Addressing Challenges Together, and the ASEAN Leaders' Statement on ASEAN Connectivity Post-2025 Agenda. On Friday, the ASEAN leaders agreed in principle to admit Timor-Leste as the 11th ASEAN member. G20 health and finance ministers launched a $1.4 billion fund to tackle the next global pandemic ahead of the bloc's leaders gathering for a summit on the Indonesian resort island of Bali, but the host's president said it was not enough. The 24-nation fund is viewed as one of the early global outcomes of the summit next week, where little progress is expected on the Ukraine crisis, with Russian President Vladimir Putin not in attendance.
Pandemi di masa yang akan datang.
The fund was launched at a news conference today, opened by Indonesian President Joko Widodo and addressed by World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus and World Bank President David Malpass. Widodo said donors from G20 and non-G20 members, as well as philanthropic organizations, have contributed to the fund, but it is not enough since $31 billion is required to tackle the next global pandemic. The fund's major donors include the United States, Britain, India, China, France, Canada, Australia and Japan. The United States had contributed $450 million to the fund, nearly a third of the total. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the joint fund is an example of what the G20 can do to tackle global problems. President Joe Biden's Democrats retained control of the U.S. Senate yesterday, a remarkable midterm election result that defied predictions of a Republican win over both houses of Congress. Midterms traditionally deliver a rejection of the party in power, and with inflation surging and Biden's popularity in the doldrums, Republicans had been expecting to ride a mighty red wave and capture the Senate and the House of Representatives. But the wave never got much beyond a ripple, and yesterday U.S. networks called the key Senate race in Nevada for Democrat incumbent Catherine Cortez Masto, giving the party the 50 seats it needs for an effective majority. The win clinches Democratic control in the Senate, and Vice President Kamala Harris has cast the tie-breaking vote if the upper chamber is evenly split 50-50. One Senate race remains up in the air, a runoff in Georgia set for 6th of December, in which the Democrats could add to their majority. The results in the House of Representatives still hangs in the balance, and while Republicans are slightly favored to take control, it would be with a far smaller majority than they had envisaged going into Tuesday's elections. U.S. billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk said Twitter's monthly subscription service is coming back and new sign-ups could be possible as soon as next week. Twitter users have been experiencing problems with signing up for the Twitter Blue service. The Washington Post reported on Friday, citing a company's internal note, that Twitter temporarily disabled sign-ups for the subscription on Thursday night. Asked by a Twitter user when the subscription service is coming back, Musk tweeted on Saturday that it would probably be the end of next week. A Twitter Blue paid monthly subscription service adds a blue checkmark to a user's account and offers early access to select new features. The company started the rollout of the new feature on 9th November. Within a day, many fake parody accounts on Twitter appeared to be verified, with some posting dubious content. Musk said on Thursday that Twitter accounts impersonating other people from now on must include the word parody in the name graph of the account instead of the biograph. Musk has also pointed out that with the widespread verification, there will be no warning before suspension, and this rule will be a condition for sign-up to Twitter Blue. And next in sports, Arsenal beat Wolves to extend a Premier League lead. Stay with us. But first, in local football, Terengganu FC's 3-1 victory over KL City FC at the Sultan Mizan Zainal Abidin Stadium in Gong Barat last night saw them advance to the semi-finals of the Malaysia Cup with an aggregate score of 4-1. The home team opened the scoring through Filipino-German Manuel Ott's strike in the 21st minute, but KL City equalised in the 45th minute thanks to a fine finish by their upcoming striker Muhammad Hakimi Azim Rosli. Ott missed the chance to score his second personal goal in the 53rd minute after his effort from outside the penalty box just missed the post, but team captain Kipri Cheche made up for it when he put in the second goal for Nafuzi Zain's side in the 62nd minute. It was then the turn of sensational import K-Pop Sherman to get onto the score sheet in the 89th minute, much to cheer of over 25,000 supporters of the Turtle squad at the stadium. Commenting on the game last night, Terengganu FC coach Nafuzi Zain said his players were put under pressure at the beginning of the match, but they managed to bounce back to obtain victory.
Tetapi player dapat menyerap tekanan dengan baik, mengekalkan disiplin dengan baik, dan selepas kita menjadikan gol memberikan lagi keyakinan kepada pemain lagi, dan lagi mengurangkan tekanan, lagi mudah untuk kita bermainlah.
Meanwhile, Selangor FC also had no problem advancing to the semi-finals of the Malaysia Cup with a 4-2 aggregate score following a 2-2 draw against Negeri Sembilan FC in the second leg of the quarter-finals at the Tuanku Abdul Rahman Stadium in Paroi. The Red Giants, led by former national squad head coach Tan Cheng Ho, opened the scoring in the 10th minute through Herlison Kayon de Souza Ferreira. However, a mistake by Selangor defender Quentin Cheng, who brought down Muhammad Zamri Ramli in the box, led to a penalty for Negeri Sembilan, which was converted by Mateus Alves in the 25th minute. Jordanian import Yazan Al-Arab then put Selangor back in front in the 45th minute through a volley from outside the penalty box that beat goalkeeper Ahmad Shihan Hazmi Muhammad, before Negeri Sembilan once again equalised just before the break. Captain Muhammad Zakwan Adha Abdul Razak took the advantage of a pass from Ahmad Kuzaimi PA in a scramble in front of the Selangor goal in injury time for the first half. Both teams in the second half gave their all to score, but the result remained 2-2 until the final whistle. Selangor will next face the season's Super League runners-up Terengganu FC. In English football, Arsenal brushed aside bottom club Wolverhampton Wanderers 2-0 early today with both goals from captain Martin Odegaard to take a 5-point lead at the top of the Premier League going into a mid-season break for the World Cup. The Norwegian midfielder, one of the revelations of Arsenal's swashbuckling early season form, slotted his first into a gaping net in the 55th minute after Fabio Vieira crossed at the end of a typically clever passing by the visitors. Odegaard backed his second off a rebound 20 minutes later. The only negative for Arsenal was seeing midfielder Granit Xhaka substituted in the first half, seemingly with an illness. But nothing could dampen the mood of the away fans who chanted their adoration of manager Mikel Arteta at the final whistle, some stripping shirts off despite the November chill. The result left Arsenal first in the Premier League on 37 points, 5 ahead of Manchester City. With many predicting Arsenal would fade after their stunning start to the season, today's win means they will be top of the standings over Christmas and are genuine title contenders. Wolves are bottom of the league on 10 points and have only scored 8 goals this season. Meanwhile, Joe Willock's thunderous second-half goal at Newcastle United, a 1-0 win over Chelsea at St James's Park early today, and consolidated third place in the Premier League in their final fixture before the World Cup. Newcastle had a penalty appeal turned down after defender Dan Burns' cross hit Trevor Chalobah's flailing arm late in the first half, while Chelsea forward Armando Broja registered the only shot on target in an otherwise uneventful opening period. 5 minutes after the restart, Newcastle came close to taking the lead when Joe Linton kept alive Kieran Trippier's cross, but Chris Wood was unable to connect and Adwa Mendy scrambled away the ball. Chelsea's Conor Gallagher forced a flying save from Newcastle goalkeeper Nick Pope in the 66th minute as the visitors sprang into life, but any momentum they would have built from their best attack of the game was wiped out by Willock in the very next minute. Miguel Almiron cut inside Chelsea defender Kalidou Koulibaly and nudged the ball into the path of on-rushing Willock, who unleashed a powerful effort that flew past goalkeeper Mendy to bag his second league goal in as many games. Newcastle sit 2 points behind second place Manchester City, while Chelsea dropped down to 8 after a third straight defeat. And back on home soil, Kenyan runners were clearly in a class of their own as they dominated the men's and women's open full marathon categories of the 2022 Kuala Lumpur Standard Chartered Marathon KLSCM today. In the event, which started and ended at Dataran Merdeka, Moses Kipto Kurgat, who was making his debut, won the men's category after clocking 2 hours, 11 minutes and 6 seconds. He defeated compatriots Kiprop Tonoe and Ngare Joseph Mwangi, who finished second and third respectively. In the women's category, Shalmith Nyawira Mariuki won the race in 2 hours and 44 minutes 16 seconds, beating compatriots Sheila Jebkosge Chesang and Yunis Nyawira Muchiri into second and third places respectively. Meanwhile, S. Puvasandan emerged as the champion in the Malaysian men's full marathon after recording 2 hours, 37 minutes, 56 seconds, while Nur Amelia Musa took home the title in the women's category with a time of 3 hours, 13 minutes, 59 seconds. More than 34,000 people participated in the event, which was previously postponed for 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. That concludes this evening's news at 10. Our top story, Kerana Jaya LRT line back in full operation tomorrow. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Till then, it's lights out. Yang SAHIH di RTM, #MyPRU15. I'm Brendan Lepol. Salam keluarga Malaysia and have a good week ahead.